Hey guys, how's it going everyone? It's Jackie Felix here, and this morning I woke up at 3 a.m. And I saw the new Global Apps patch notes. I'm really excited, guys. They introduced a bunch of new changes to Node Wars and Siege on the Global Lab servers, and I went through them this morning, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed. I can definitely tell the person that did these patch notes understood what they were doing, which is fantastic. So I just want to go through some of these changes with you guys and just give my own opinion about each of these changes. So for the first change, if you win Calcium, Medalla, or Valencia Conquest Wars, in addition to the tax benefits you get for your guild, you will also receive a victory reward per person, right? So this reward is estimated to be over 3 billion silver. What that means is at the end of the Conquest War, if you win the siege, and you have 100 members in the siege and you get 3 billion additional silver, that means each person will get 30 million silver, right? Now, potentially you could get upwards of 100 to 200 mil. Maybe, depends on what happens. But yeah, I think that's a really good change. I think this change should be in Node Wars as well, where like after you cap a node or territory, like you should be rewarded right after the win. I think that instant gratification reward is a huge aspect or huge incentivization for new players joining Node War and Siege. And also they're planning for a special incentive for guilds who fought hard and did not win. However, to prevent minimal abusing, a certain level of conditions are set. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly what kind of reward you get if you don't win, but I guess we'll see. Additionally, the second note, they're removing Bayanos and Serendia from Siege for the time being, and they're looking at reorganizing those sieges or those territories. I agree. I don't think there's enough guilds to have fights on 5 regions. So what they've done instead is just made sieges happen on Calfia, Medalla, and Valencia, which, you know, I 100% agree. I think NA has, 5 siege guilds left. Other regions probably have around the same, if not less. So, you have 5 territory, 5 siege guilds. Very hard to make fights happen organically. This next change, they're planning to cap the AP evasion DR limits for Medalla and Valencia. However, Calfia will still be uncapped. I think this is a good change. I know there are people that will not like this change because it caps the gear you get, and maybe it's less incentivizing for you to get more gear because Siege is capped. But to be honest, nobody really did Siege before, so I think if you put a cap limit on the gear score or the stats of the participants in Siege, maybe it will incentivize more players to come, because there's a capped gear system, right? So you won't be fighting people that are overly geared compared to you, maybe. These stats do seem kind of high though, so even with these limits, I'm pretty sure that there'll still be a pretty decent gear discrepancy, but that's up. Maybe you guys can look into this further. And they said that these numbers are subject to change when they come to live servers as well, which is good. This next change is huge. So now I think what this says is, instead of being able to buy as many Mercs as you can for Siege, you're now limited to 10. I'm pretty sure this is what it means, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. I think this is a good change, because before there was no reason to have a Siege guild. Like, you could just hire a bunch of Mercs, which, probably don't even want to listen to your shot caller do whatever they want. But now when you limit each guild to only having 10 Mercs, you have to force guilds, if they want to do Siege actively, they have to actually build a guild instead of just hiring Mercs on the weekend, right? So I think this is a good change, limiting the amount of Mercs for Siege to 10 players. I've been talking about this change for like a year or two. That's how this should be, right? I don't think the Merc system should go. I think it's a good system. I just think for Siege especially, it should be limited to like 5 or 10 players. And this next change basically means before you needed to cap a tier 3, tier 4 fort before you could participate in siege. Now it doesn't matter, you just need to occupy one node regardless of stage. So I'm not sure if this means even tier 1 guilds can participate in siege. I'm assuming that's what it means, maybe I'm wrong. But essentially if you own a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, maybe a tier 1 you can participate in siege, which, you know, opens the possibility of guilds wanting to siege or can participate in siege, which is awesome. This is a great change. And this is huge. Guilds that have one siege can now participate in Node Wars. Yes, 100% I agree with this. There's no reason why capturing a territory locks you out of Node Wars for an entire week. It is 2021, people want a PvP. If they want a PvP, you should let them PvP, right? The days of man up, that era is pretty much done. Okay. Bayanos, Serendia, Kiafia, Medaya, Valencia can only, during the occupation of territory, only one guild can occupy only one region. Territory has been changed. I'm not sure exactly what this means. I think what this means is before you could own multiple regions on KR. But I think this translated a little bit weird. I guess we'll see what this changes about exactly. Okay, and then here they also added you can now get medals from doing siege as well. So the brilliant medals that you can exchange for your magic DP or ranged DP or melee DP buffs is now available in siege. And the top 5% of players, that means the top 5% people on the scoreboard when you're adding up the fort kill score, the player kill score, and the structure kill score, the top 5% of players will get an additional, so more medals, right? And also the top player will get a 500 HP buff for 4 hours, which is what you get for Node Wars, the Battlefield Glory. And that's awesome, this is good. Adding more, slightly adding more rewards to the siege system. That is really good, I 100% agree. And I'll just read this for you guys. So this is the developer text feedback. So some of the rules of the Conquest War have been changed. First of all, the rewards have been greatly strengthened so that the participating guilds and guild members can take on the meaning of a challenge. Now, in addition to tax benefits, you will be rewarded with a relatively large victory prize that you can take with you. Excellent. Guilds who worked hard but lost will also receive special incentives. In addition, the policy system, which was updated in the Black Desert Research Lab in April last year, will soon be introduced to the official server so that the guild that wins the occupation can have a certain amount of influence on the entire world. I'm not sure if this means the new Node War system. I'm not sure. I heard that was rolled back in KR. However, as the rewards have been expanded, attack and defense limits have been added to the conquest of Medaya and Valencia so that more people can have the opportunity to participate. Yes, I 100% agree. However, we have made sure that the number is not too low and it will increase little by little in the future depending on the growth of the venturers. That is really good. That is good. In addition, the current limit is a fixed method, but we are considering setting optimal limits, low attack power, high damage reduction or evasion to allow various settings depending on characteristics. Now, what I don't want this to end up being is players are too tanky and no one can kill each other, right? You should set the AP and DP limits to a point where people are still able to kill each other, but it's not like a complete gear check. And this can be hard to do with all the new classes, all the new gear, all the new items being added to the game. But I think this is a good first step, right? I think this can be really good for the siege team, for sure. Also, with the reorganization, each guild can recontract the heroes of Battlefield in siege. There can be up to 10 heroes on Battlefield, so those who play an active part can also receive victory rewards or special incentives. This is huge. Again, this incentivizes siege guilds to actually be siege guilds again, because you can only hire 10 mercs. You cannot hire 50, 60, 70 or 80 mercs for your siege on the weekend. The maximum, all right, let's go on to these. I think these are about structures. The maximum attack and DP limit introduced in first stage of Node War has been changed to apply to all annexes. So what this change is about is they've made, so before I think they made some of the structures a little bit too tanky. And here they're reducing some of the DP or the tankiness on some of these structures, right? They're making recoveries, all these recovery centers on tier 2s 50% less tanky, 50% less damage reduction. Flags are half as tanky, and so are flame towers on tier 2. So everything essentially has been reduced by half, right? I think this is good because before flags were way too tanky. It was very hard to take out a flag, and it was like almost impossible to take out a flag that of a guild that's stronger than you hitting your fort, right? And also recoveries were also pretty tanky as well. So I agree with these changes. I think the initial numbers they added, the tankiness they added, including to the new repair material they added, just made forts like so easy to be rebuilt. And I think making these structures a little bit slightly less tankier is really good for the 30 or 40 man fights, because that's where majority of the fights even happen at the start, right? And some minor changes. They fixed the bug where forts annexes could be built on roofs in certain areas, and the number of forts built in Node War information world map window has been changed to be displayed. Okay, cool. So that's all the changes. To summarize everything, at the end, essentially you'll get a reward at the end of Siege if you win, additional silver reward per person. Siege will only happen in Medaya, Valencia, and Calphion, and Serenia, Benos will not happen because they're reorganizing it. There will be an AP DP limit added to the Medaya and Valencia sieges. You can only hire 10 Mercs for Siege per guild, and you can participate in Siege as long as you own a node, instead of having to have a tier 3 or tier 4 base. And when you cap a region, you can also do node wars as well. Very huge, very huge. You get additional medal rewards when doing Siege, and the top players get additional reward. And they also reduce the tankiness of some of the structures. This is excellent. I don't know, this is like what we've been waiting for. These are some of the changes we've been waiting for 2 to 3 years of this game, right? And this is a really good, this is a blessing. This is like a blessing from the heavens, dude. I am so happy right now. I'm so happy with these changes. And if you guys go through these patch notes for the Node and Conquest War, you'll realize that these changes are really good for the game. And I'll love to hear your opinions down below. Just chuck them in the comments, send me a message in Discord. Let me know what you guys think about these changes, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.